Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm here and I explore. Today I'm back on the West Marsh. Yes, I know I've done a few videos on here, but I keep finding things out. So let's go and have a look at what I've found. Okay, on with the video. I'm right next to the River Avon and just come across these big fellas down here. Look at these. Quite a lot of swans about this morning down there. Starting off next to the Avon, have you just seen the swans down there? Okay, and like I was saying, I was looking through the maps and I was looking on the Inspire Links website where they got everything like schools, theatres, photos and everything like that. And the Britain from Air site as well. And I came across some things that I've not mentioned before on various streets around the West Marsh. So what I'm going to do is going to take a look at them and I'll point out some of the buildings that are lost, some of the streets that are totally gone, and any other thing that I come across. Okay, let's go. Right, I'm walking across this bridge, across the Avon, and behind me is Ripon Street, one of the original streets round here. Okay, so this is originally known as Cow Close, and all the streets have got names, like Arthur Street, Josie Street, etc. So what I'm here for is to show you where Yarborough Street once was. Okay, it's now been renamed. This took a bit of finding, by the way, but it's like, you know, I've walked down here before. It's right in front of your eyes, if you see what I mean. But you'll have to look on a map to find it. Okay, so I'm currently walking down this way. Okay, the dates round about the 1960s. Well, some about the 1930s to the 1960s. Now, this lane used to lead out to the hospital. Okay. We call it Grimsby District Hospital, or General Hospital as it was known. I was once in there with a broken skull and a coma before MRI. So you can imagine, can't you? You know, none of that. Probably lucky to be here. Right, so you came out here and in front of you there you can see where these houses are. Okay, this is the corner of the hospital. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk past all these houses and out onto a road next to the South Parade School there, and I'll show you where Yarborough Street was. Okay, long gone. And it's now got a different name. So it's, like I say, it did take a while to find this, but I'm going to have a look anyway. Okay, let's go. Right, so where I showed you where the hospital used to be, I'm now walked round the corner from it if it was still there. And I'm now actually on Yarborough Street, okay? I'm actually on it. Now, I've been down here a few times and I never knew that. So I'm going to show you where I am. Okay, this, believe it or not, is Yarborough Street. Okay, I don't know what they've renamed it or what it is now. I don't think there's any name on it, but you can see this side here, where the camera's pointing, that's where the hospital was. I think I've shown you this before. Down there, this is one of the original ways in. But yeah, I'm now actually stood on Yarborough Street. Now it carries on. I'll go across the road. Hopefully I won't get run over this time. It carries on and goes straight through there onto Corporation Road. This is a fairly long street. So yeah, this is it, Yarborough Street, where I'm walking, exactly walking now. Now, I can't see any names. See, there's Yarborough Drive over there, which you have kept that on, but this is the street. See what I mean? Still got the Yarborough, but not the street bit. But this led out onto Corporation Road, which is straight down there. So if any of you lived on here, Yarborough Street, round near the hospital there, just put it in the comments below. Okay, let's move on to the next location. Just turned off what was Yarborough Street. I'm now on the continuation of Oliver Street, which I have done on another video before. Okay, and this is where this was. And it carries on straight through there. I'm going to walk past that tree, okay, and see what street that is in front of me. But yeah, this is where Oliver Street was. And there was another street as well, which I hope I'm coming to and it's in the right place. I hope I say this right. Fildas Street, is that how you say it? Fildes Street, yeah? If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments below. Okay, but yeah, this, if I turn this round in a moment, there we go, where this tree is, and straight up there, this used to be Fildas Street. If I'm saying it wrong, like I've just said, I'm really sorry about that, but it ran down here, straight through that house there. Okay, it curves and messes about nowadays. But I'm now on another street you probably all know about. Ignore the one underneath. This one is Alfred Street. So if any of you live down this one, okay, and it leads out over there, and that one is Tennyson Street, okay? Okay, so I'm now walking down Corporation Road. Okay, now there's two streets which are definitely buried under this place in front of me here. In there, this is, well, it's Artwell's, it's got a funny name I can't even pronounce. Okay, the two streets I'm talking about, which are under here, you got Rendell Street over there, by the way. Okay, where that mural is on the side of the building where the camera's pointing. And under here, the streets which have now been buried are Annesley Street and Chapman Street. So if any of you lived on them. Now, this was, I think this garage was built in the 70s, I may be wrong. Okay, but you can see the massive changes that have gone on around this area. At its time, I mean, walking along here, just where I am, there was shops, loads of shops on both sides. There was pubs as well. There was the pub called the Corporation, that was on the other side of the road, over where the trees are there. And of course, you've got the West Marsh Club, which I have done on many a time. But there's been a lot of things gone. So now I'm going to walk up to another street. Okay, Watkin Street. I know I've featured this before. You've probably seen the video already. But I found out some more information than what used to be on this street. I was actually sat in the West Marsh Community Centre, by the way, which you should go, off Beeson Street there, Armstrong Street, it's really great. And we was looking through some of the archives on the links in Spire, and I came across a building on Watkin Street. Now, I've done some research, so I'm going to go down there. I'm going to show you the locations of these buildings and what they were called as well, because it changed over the years. Okay, it started off with one building, then there was three, that sort of thing. So let's go down Watkin Street and I'll try my best to show you the location of these long gone buildings. Right, I mentioned Chapman Street before, okay, and like I was saying, it's all buried under the Artwell garage. Okay, so at number 41 Chapman Street, before you turned onto Armstrong Street, okay, going towards the Armstrong Street School, there was a bakery. Now, according to this, what I've got in my hand, it actually says it was at number 41, and it said it was a bakery, but next to the bakery is like a lane. Now, there's no name for it, so if any of you can remember that one, on Chapman Street, a bakery. And like I said, I've got the number 41 on there. It could even be 39. You know, two buildings. Bakery was big in them days. Even you did everything in them. But if any of you remember that one on Chapman Street, comments below. Okay, let's move on. Back onto Watkin Street now, and in this area, just here, all this area, by the way, in 1931, 1933, there was a church in there and a presbytery. The church, it was called St. Peter's. Okay, and a bit later, there was another building built called St. Peter's Convent. Okay, that's in the same years I just mentioned, 1931, 1933. Then later, same area again, just down here, 1962, 1933. The St. Peter's Church was still here. The Presbytery was still here. And then we had a lodge called Watkin Lodge and a clinic in this area here, which I've seen on recent air photos, etc. But it was all in this area here. So the dates and the years, sorry, are 1931 to, let's say, 1963. So if any of you can remember that, the clinic, or go into the clinics, back in the day, even the church or even the lodge being here, in the comments below. This street actually runs out to Adam Smith Street. Okay, I'm in this area now. This is all, as you can see, it's all industry. Not a lot going on around here, but yeah, but this bit of the street in front is still original because I've just looked at my map. There you go. So that was Watkin Street there. Let's move on. Back on Watkin Street now, because I've got some further information. Okay, now there was a church on here, which I mentioned before. There was a lodge on here. There was a clinic. Okay. Now the thing I've come down here for is Watkin Lodge. Now this was a boys' home from 1951 to 1962. Now basically it was for naughty boys, what you would call these days a mental health problem or something like that. You wouldn't actually call it a naughty boys' home anymore. I think it's them words aren't used anymore. But don't forget that era between then and 51 and 60. A lot different back then. You could get put in there for just say stealing a lollipop, or let's say swearing at your parents, or if your parents actually partied or something like that, you got put in there as well. Okay, so it's a really bad place, and you know, it had a bad reputation. And I'll just quickly turn this round as I'm saying these things. And it said that when you walk past it, you could hear them shouting. And the thing is, when you did walk past it, if you was a young person at the time, I don't know, going to school or something like that, walking up to Armstrong Street School, which is over there with the cameras pointing, you actually ran across the other side of the road because you was scared. You know, it's sort of a horrible place. You just didn't want to stay there very long, which I suppose is understandable back then. But I mean, you know, the silly crimes you did, really petty stuff. But I guess stealing from a shop nowadays, yeah, you would get prosecuted for it, you know, but back then that's where you was thrown in there. I heard a story of a lady saying about, I don't know, teeth, something about teeth anyway. And there was a dentist in there, in the clinic, okay, the clinic next to the lodge. And back then, what they did was just pulled your teeth out. None of this anaesthetic stuff, I don't think, like you do nowadays, just pulled it out. But I mean, that'd put you off going for life. This lady actually said that, you know, got put off, totally put off for life. I mean, I don't go, because it was sort of, it was all right back when I was going, but still, you know, I mean, I don't like going, it's the noise of them drills and that, innit? But imagine that though. You know, your teeth's hanging out, and all you do was pull it out, probably with a pair of plumbing pliers back then, I don't know, but yeah, that's what it did. So it's very frightening there. So if any of you got any memories of this place, it's basically down there, okay, where that mast is. And through this, because this street carried on, I've done this before, we're straight down there with that, see that lorry there backing up, I think the camera's picking it up. But yeah, so there's a lot of things went on in there, but it was a convent previous to that, then like a convent as well, but then became, like I say, the clinic, and then the Watkin Boys Home. But the equivalent to that one nowadays, I would think, and I've actually been in there, for let's say persons like that, because you're not, you know, classed as boys, girl, I don't know what it is anyway, with Harrison House there down Peaks Lane. You know, I suppose that's where you would go now, but I mean, back then, they wouldn't have any of that, what like we have now. I mean, there was none of it. It was the no rules, regulations, section this, section that, and you know, you're really cared for now. Back then, I wouldn't have thought so. Okay, I'm going to move on. On this part of the West Marsh, and around about where I am now, where I've just walked in this area, and back over there, and various different streets, there was 5 sawmills. Okay, there was one on the top of Rendell Street. There was one on Chapman Street. There was one off Alexander Road there, and various other ones where Sainsbury's is now, basically. There was 2 on there. But yeah, there's a lot of sawmills around here. And if you look over the docks, sometimes you can see a lot of wood being brought in still to this day. So it's basically sawmills all in this area, railway tracks that used to take it in and out, and coal and that, but the coal wasn't sort of here, it was sort of mainly sawmills. You can imagine it, can't you? Very, very busy area of Grimsby, this, back in the day. Okay. Not far from where I am now, and a little bit out of town towards the Ealing area, okay, there was the biscuit factory. Okay, Watmo and Son Limited Biscuit Factory, Grimsby, 1939. Now, I know my mum went there when it was Kemp's. Okay, and I can't show you the picture of it, the usual copyright. But yeah, if any of you went to that one from here, I mean, it wasn't that far really. I mean, my mum lived on Gilby Road, so you can see it wasn't that far to bike back in them days. I mean, you try doing that now on that motorway out there, you'll get run over. But yeah, this is Watmo and Son Limited Biscuit Factory, Grimsby, 1939. I think it later became Kemp's, and I don't know if it was KP after that, not entirely sure. But I'm still walking down Armstrong Street on the West Marsh. Okay, I'm now stood on Ainscross Street, and over there, that big tall building, that used to be the Rex. Before that, it was the Paragon. I'm just showing you where I am because I'm doing most of the streets, some of the streets around here today as I go past them. Again, as you can see, all industry, and straight through there, you can actually see the West Marsh Club, which is still standing. But that is where the Paragon and then the Rex was. Okay, so I'm on another street now, which some of you will have lived on. And this one is Charlton Street, okay? and it ran straight through there. That's towards the boulevard, and then that way straight through there out onto Adam Smith Street. Okay, so I'm back on the grounds of the Armstrong Street School now. Again, I have had permission to come on here. I know you can actually walk in, but as you know, I don't do things like that. Now, the reason I've come in here again, okay, there's two big houses actually. There was one at the back of me there where I just walked in, but in here. Okay, so this wall is a later addition. Okay, I've just been working all this out. And behind there, behind these houses, I'll go around and show you, there's a bit of a waste ground. Okay, now on that waste ground, around about here, this is where I would say the main, what we would call the big house. Now, if there was a foundation stone, when the prince came here, okay, who then became king later on, which I have mentioned, will come out the gate, is through this. Okay, it's just, I'll put it through here. As you can see, it's just waste ground in there. Now in here, according to my research, okay, there was a really, really big house in here. Now, does any of you remember that? Okay, a really massive building attached to this school. See about the spider. So it's behind these houses here. So out there, that's Boulevard Avenue, and in here, about the fence, is where this house was. Now, could it be? I mean, if you was a prince, you would go to the main big house. Okay, that is where you would go, and that, I think, is where possibly, and I'm not 100%, is where the foundation stone must have been laid. Because most places do that. They either lay it in a big house or they'll do it where the school was. So if any of you do know that or have any information on that, I'd be so grateful for it. Okay, on with the video. Okay, so I'm now back in the middle of the field. Okay, I said school. Now I'm going to turn this camera around. So in here, I would have been in the middle of like a square. Is it a quadrangle you call it? So surrounding me, like I said, was that big building over there. Okay. Along here, there was all buildings. And along to the side of me there. I'm surrounded by it. And over there, behind the West Marsh Community Centre there, and in the corner, there was another great big building. Really tall building. There's quite a lot of them. 1, 2, about 3. Really big, you know, like I said just now, like a mansion house type of thing. All in here. But the actual school part, as you saw from the parch marks, is here where I'm stood. Okay? Along there. That's where that is. So, like I was saying before, if any of you came here, please let me know. Because I really want to find out more about this and I can do another video for you. Alright, so on with the next one. Okay, so we'll come to the end of another video. I hope you enjoyed that one. As you can see where I'm stood, I'm on the grounds of the old Armstrong Street School. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the one previous. Okay, so on that note, I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers to the channel. I really appreciate it. And for all you watching my content, I really do appreciate that. So on that note, I will see you all next time on the next video. Bye for now.